Hello, everybody. It is Doug, the wedding officiant, also known as Doug the foodie. And today I'm known as, I guess to you, maybe just Doug. So you have stumbled on to engagement. Welcome to engagement. So I get this question all the time. You've probably heard it if you've ever been here at engagement before. Doug, you're a wedding officiant and you have a channel called Engagement where you talk to people. Do you just talk to people that are getting married or people that are in love? And the answer is no. Yes, I do a little bit of that, but only a fraction of my time is spent engaging with them. I engage with all y'all. And in the dictionary, engagement says to come together and to talk about things and to engage. So we've started a number of series. We are on Season 6, if you can imagine, Episode 5. We are talking about the good. And I know in my community, and I hope in your community as well, you have people that do some good. And I want to shine a light on those people because they deserve it. We realize that 80% of the work is done by 20% of the volunteer masses and organizations. And that is no different in my neck of the woods or your neck of the woods. So in an effort to help them, I want to shine some light on them. So today we are going to talk to someone that I think that does some great work. And you can't be on this series of engagement if I don't think you do, if I don't know you. It's not, you don't pay or subscribe to be on here. You have to earn it. Maybe the threshold is a little low. I'm not that hard to earn. But today we're going to be talking to someone who does really wear her heart on her sleeve. And I'm talking about Miriam Armstrong, who is with what we call P.A.W. or P.A.W, which is a pet and animal wildlife rescue. Because in this world, you need to rescue animals. We have a lot of animals. And I just got actually back from New Orleans where I heard a very touching story from our driver who had the biggest loss that he had during Katrina was actually his pets because they weren't able to rescue them. And it was actually a very touching story that me and my friends actually were privileged to hear. And it made me think about the pet and rescue wildlife that we have in my neck of the woods. So I'm really happy to bring in here Miriam Armstrong, who's going to talk to us about what you guys do and the good you guys do in this area as we shine some light on you. Miriam, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. So you are heavily involved with we call it PAW. It used to be called PAWR, but people couldn't get they just kept dropping the R off anyhow. So like a good entrepreneur, you just took it off and just call yourself PAW.
Yeah, PAW, I mean, how better can you describe what we do anyways, right? PAW
Exactly.
is perfect.
Exactly. So tell us what you do. Oh, I said do, but I mean what you do.
We do quite a bit. So we have a municipal contract to provide pound services and animal control services. So that's our bread and butter. But what we do on the charity side of the organization is much broader. We do so many things. I don't even have a list in mind because there's so many things, and it's a very flexible world. There's a lot of gray areas. We don't have strict rules on what we will do to help somebody or an animal. We're always adjusting to. We just always keep in mind the greater good. How can we assist in a specific situation? And when you have people or animals involved, it can mean many things.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. I mean, you hear the comment all the time about, this, my fur baby, or this is part of my family. And pets are an extension of your family. And sometimes people have to give them up, or sometimes people lose them. And you guys are there to intercept at either of those sort of junctures, which is, it's phenomenal. It's very important. It's very good work that you guys do. Do you guys bring in any kind of animal? Like, does it matter? Like, is it just cats and dogs, or is it, reptiles and whatever else?
Yeah, it's absolutely anything you would consider a pet. We've had reptiles, we've had insects, we'd have obviously dog, cats, guinea pigs, bunnies, mice, rats, you name it. We've had goats, we've had pigs, we've had a pony. We're not breed specific. We'll just take whoever needs help at the time. We're gonna cut it off at children, but anything that has a heartbeat beside that, we'll take in.
Like, I never thought of insects. I mean, I've seen, pet and wildlife rescues that do take like snakes, or which I wouldn't do because I don't like snakes. Cats and dogs and critters and whatever else. But I never really thought of like an insect. Like, the, does that happen very often? Like, people, here's a fly. Can you take?
No, there is insects that are used as pets. We also have taken in tarantulas, hermit crabs. There's really no limit. Like when an animal needs help, we are kind of the last resort for any animal. Usually people try and find family members or friends to take in their animals, but when there is nobody to help them, we're the only place that will say yes. So we
Awesome.
very flexible, and sometimes we don't know much about a specific type of animal, so we will just Google away, learn everything as quickly as possible,
Google's your friend.
ready, and just go to town.
Yeah, perfect. So you don't do this alone. I realize you guys probably run on a very small scale of staff, and there's probably a lot of volunteers that are needed. And I know that I have friends that have gone there and volunteered to walk dogs, um, which is great because the dogs need to get the exercise. They need to get out. Dogs need to smell. That's their exercise. Besides walking, is they need to use their sensories within their nasal cavity to exercise, to smell things, and to be vibrant. So, how many volunteers do you have, and what do they do?
Well, we have many different types of volunteers. We have volunteers that strictly drive. We transfer quite a few animals to shelters who don't have a lot of cats, and Chatham Kent has plenty of stray cats, so we'll transfer to other shelters and rescues. But our staff, we don't have a lot of staff, and we have a lot of animals, so volunteers will drive for us, which is a lifesaver. We have volunteers that will only drive wildlife to wildlife centers. We can only do so much with wildlife here, so we usually transfer them very quickly. We have volunteers that strictly walk dogs, some that cannot really handle walking dogs because of, back problems, so they will just play with dogs. Like you said, for dogs to smell, it's an incredible enrichment solution for them. So we have done scent training with some dogs, especially like dogs like hounds that really thrive on using their nose. We'll teach a volunteer how to work with a hound, and how can you help them find something in a room, because that half an hour of searching for something in a room will tire that dog out for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
We have volunteers that play with small animals, clean small animals. We have volunteers that we call them the cat cuddlers. They'll just entertain our cats. I mean, it gets pretty boring when you're in a cage for days on end waiting, to be vetted and go to a home. And our favorite volunteers are our very solid volunteers. They come every other day. They're amazing, and they clean dishes and laundry, which you would not believe how much of that we have going on every single day.
Wow, wow. Well, let's talk about the adoption. You guys put people through an adoption program, or is there applications? And
Yeah,
did
yeah.
you guys ever run out of animals? I suppose would be the other question too.
Not to date, not to date. Just the opposite. It's only growing now. We peaked at 331 animals not too long ago. It's been an interesting year for us. It's been extremely busy. So through COVID, we had to adjust because people couldn't come and browse animals. So we decided, hey, we need to get on it because lives matter. All these lives are waiting to find homes, and if we cannot move those animals to homes, there is no other option. We can't warehouse thousands of animals here. So we switched to online adoptions. So we still have online adoptions for cats and small animals. You go on our website. It's a flawless process. You just pick the animal you want. You do your purchase online, and then we schedule an appointment for you to come and get the animal. Obviously, you're not bound to take the animal. If you come here and it's not a good match, you can obviously cancel your adoption and pick another animal. But it's really streamlining the process for us, and it helps move a little faster. It also helps us adopt cats to areas that we haven't reached before with cats. We have adopted to people in Ottawa, in Toronto, and just anywhere you can think of within 8 hours of driving. We've adopted those people, so it's great. It gets animals in homes. So that's wonderful. And for dogs, it's a little bit of a longer process because dogs, have other requirements. So that is an application process, and then we will usually we receive more than one application per dog, so we can be a little bit picky and see like how is this person compatible for this dog, because dogs have different requirements. Cats are a little bit more flexible when it comes to getting along with other animals and having less time requirements too.
So I guess, if someone came in and, adopted a dog and got home and had the dog, for a week or two or maybe a month and it just wasn't working out, I'm assuming you just bring it back. Is that how
Yeah.
it works?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We'll always take our animals, even if it's been 10 years and, something happens. People get sick. Bad thing happens every day. So if you're stuck with your dog and you have nowhere to take him, whether you adopted here or not, just call us. Like, we are just here to help.
They can just reach out, I'm assuming, through your email. Is it PAWR@.org? Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Correct.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you guys have a dog of a day or cat of a critter of the day, as I'm not sure what you call them, but
Well, we do videos and we upload new animals every single day. A lot of people are confused sometimes because we say, we're full, and they go on our website and there is only 20 cats and 6 dogs. So it's always a process, because we're not just getting an animal in and posting them for adoption. We need to know, is this animal healthy? Is this animal vetted, fixed? Do we know enough about the animal so that we can confidently post this animal and say, this is what this animal requires? So we always tell people, keep an eye on our social media, keep an eye on our website, because it changes every day. I mean, life at the shelter is constantly changing. We don't know what's walking in. We have no idea what's going to happen in a day. It's never a boring day, I can tell you that. So we have to adjust really quickly. So people have to understand that our social media follows as quickly as we can, because we're all very busy. But it's always changing. So if you think we don't have the animal you want, don't worry about it. Just come back tomorrow. There'll be more.
So Bob Barker always said at the end of his broadcast for The Price is Right was, have your pet spayed and neutered. Do you guys, if you come in and they're not spayed or neutered, do you get them spayed or neutered, or do we just, they go out and add to the population, as well?
So every animal is either fixed while at the shelter, or if like right now we're struggling to get our animals fixed, we just don't have enough time at the vet. So we will give people a voucher so they can get the animal fixed, and we pay the bill for the surgery, so that the animals aren't just sitting in cages, waiting for the next trip to the vet. So yeah, no, we definitely don't want to contribute to the overpopulation of cats, especially in our area.
Mm-hmm. So this can't be cheap to, you got all these animals being dropped at your doorstep, and they either need a vet's attention, or they need to be fixed, or they need, medication, or they need to be fed. I mean, even just the basics of having kibble, in your building to feed them. Like, where does all this come from?
So we do have a portion of our funding coming from the municipality of Chatham-Kent, but most of the vetting cost and feeding cost comes through fundraising, donations, and the adoption fees. But realistically, our adoption fees are very low. And we have the worst business model around, because we usually spend quite a bit more than we charge for an animal. But we can still continue to go on because of donations. So it's worked so far. People are really helpful. And we want to make sure that pets are affordable. Anybody who owns a pet knows too well how much it costs to take care of them. Not just feeding and cleaning, but just veterinary care is not cheap. And we try to help them out by making the adoption fee affordable, so they can, save up for the next vet trip and yearly checkups and all the good stuff that comes with owning a pet.
Nice. So I don't think I showed this picture here. This is one of my favorite. One of your volunteers at the shelter, who's Ken is happy to help out and be there. Helps to fulfill his life, and that's important for a lot of people. So let's talk about your volunteers and how, how to get in there, how to volunteer, how to help out, and maybe you have a need. I mean, we all right now, we realize one of the biggest assets right now is time and talent, and that's a big thing to tap into.
Yeah, and that picture says it all. Ken has been with us since we started, and what an amazing guy. He comes every single weekend, rain or shine, snowstorm, it doesn't matter. He's there. He walks those dogs, and what a difference it makes in a dog's day to just be out for an hour and just run around and have interaction with somebody. It's just gold. So we're always looking for dog walkers. But people have to be flexible too, because a day we can have 15 dogs and another day we can have 2 dogs, and we can't walk the same dogs, 4 times a day. They'll get pretty tired pretty quickly. So always looking for volunteers for dogs. Dogs need a lot of interaction. And we're always looking for hardworking volunteers because, cleaning after 200 to 300 animals is a lot of work. And our staff does a great job, but we're always looking for somebody who doesn't mind, hard labor and scrubbing, and it's not always glorious, but we have to clean. It's 90% of our job is cleaning.
Well, you also don't want to introduce, bacteria and germs to other pets that are not, that are healthy. So you have to be very careful about that. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
yeah. So, Christmas is coming, and there'll be of course, my Christmas show is already on cue. Sometimes people take what I would call the coward's way out and buy a pet for Christmas. And I saw this and I thought this was quite interesting. Pets are not Christmas presents; they are a 15-year commitment. I know you feel the same way. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, do I ever? That's pretty much our line. Every time somebody's trying to rush into an adoption, and the children are excited, and we always tell the kids, it's exciting today, but are you going to be cleaning that litter box for the next 10 to 15 years? Like, this is a long-term commitment. You'll be going to college. That cat will still be there. So it's not a spur of the moment decision. You have to think about it. And we've seen it during COVID. Even if you really, really want a puppy or a kitten or a specific kind of animal, I can guarantee you that type of animal is going to enter a shelter soon. So before rushing to buy the pet that you really want right now, take some time, because whether you get it today or in a month, that animal is going to be with you for years. So take your time, try and help out a shelter pet, because they have no other options but to find homes. They have to find homes. So maybe, maybe you won't get the 3-month-old puppy you're looking for, but you may find an 8-month-old puppy that's the same breed you're looking for, that doesn't have all the bad habits of a brand new puppy. So do some research, look around. There's so many shelters all over the country that would be happy to talk to you about what they have available. Just be patient. Like, we're in a society of we want it and we want it right now. And I think if everybody slows down a little bit and say, hey, let's think about the consequences of what I'm going to do right now. And when it affects a family and an animal for, 10 to 15 years, it's really worth taking a moment and thinking about your decision and what the consequences are going to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is your 6th anniversary of being the new shelter.
Yeah.
And over 20,000 animals helped. I'm sure the number just continually rises. I'm sure this number is probably now out of date. So talk about your 6 years, your journey, and the help you guys have given.
Yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster. Like, we started, with little to no experience with the shelter world, and very quickly we jumped in and said, okay, what do we want to achieve? My goal was always to improve animal welfare in Chatham-Kent. I always wanted to make a big difference. I wanted to make sure that things move forward, that we have some innovative ways of communicating with the public and telling them, okay, how can we do better with the animals? There's still a lot of issues. How can we do better? So we jumped in, and we learned very quickly. We've always been so lucky to have incredible staff, just incredible people that will go above and beyond every single day. It can be quite grueling to clean 200 cats every single day. And staff has been taking cats home to nurse them back to health overnight, and bottle feeding animals, and learning how to handle. All of a sudden, you get a fox and an eagle and a snake and a turtle, and you've never worked with those animals. And I have never had a staff who doesn't care, who doesn't want to learn. Everybody is there to help each other. We're always there to pick up each other if we're feeling a little low. There's some really sad moments in a shelter where we're literally the last spot for some animals who just aren't gonna unfortunately make it, and we're there to make sure they're comfortable through their last moments. That can be really difficult for staff to handle because it's never easy to deal with it, and everybody's always there to support each other. And to me, that's one of the reasons we've been so successful. It's just setting the right people in the right places and being supportive. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that come here do notice that there is a very lighthearted atmosphere. Everybody has a sense of humor here, because if you don't laugh through the day, you just don't make it through the day.
Hmm.
So you have to find humor in almost everything, because this is how you keep your mental health way up here
Yeah.
in a world where there is quite a bit of bad.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, to be a compassionate animal lover, compassionate person, is going to be very important. So, you guys have an event coming up, and I don't think we've talked about this yet. This is your microchip clinic coming up. Getting your cats. I guess it's cats or dogs, getting a microchip in them so they can be found or returned, or if they get lost, and it does happen. You want to give us some details on that, and
Yeah. So adopting animals is obviously a big chunk of our organization's day-to-day life. But better yet is pet retention. So if an animal comes here and it can be returned to the owner, this is gold for us. That's what we want ultimately. So not having an animal microchip makes it so difficult for us to find the owners, especially for cats. So sadly, after 3 days, the animal technically by law becomes property of the pound. So after 3 days, we have to move on, and we have to get this cat ready for adoption, because we just can't hang on to them forever. Time and space is quite limited. So how sad if you don't find your pet for 3 days and the pet goes up for adoption and gets adopted by someone else. It's not a good situation. It creates a lot of anger, and I understand. But do what you can to protect your pets. So we offer a $20 microchip. It's very affordable. We do all the work. You just have to pre-register, show up. Our vet will insert the microchip. We'll register you with the microchip company. So you have pretty much nothing to do but show up and obviously pre-register. And you protect your pets for its lifetime. The microchip is good for a pet's life. So it's a very small investment, and it will save a lot of heartache if your pet goes missing.
true. I mean, there was a day when you'd put the posters up, missing cat on every light post around town to try to find your cat. And so we have to be clear. This is just for animals. You can't bring your kids in for this.
Not this year.
Not this year. Now, you guys have done other events in the past. I think, did you guys do photos with Santa Claus and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, Santa Claus. We did photos with the Grinch. We had a spay and neuter program at one point. We had enough funds to offer 500 spay and neuters.
Wow.
That was very popular. We hope to do it again one day, but again, it's all based on funds. We have to be cautious that we can still cover our expenses here first.
Mm-hmm.
And we're always willing to come up with other ideas that would help pets and pet owners for sure.
Well, I'm sure you're always looking for partners to help out, because that's what makes this work. So I sort of imagine that you're sitting, at your desk with probably a litter of cats at your feet while you try to work.
I can grab one right now under my desk.
It's okay. Hang on, and don't grab a snake, whatever you do. I just saw way too many of those in the last few weeks. But yeah, you guys do some great work, and you're looking out for our pet population, and you're looking out for the health and retention of those animals. So that's phenomenal. If people want to volunteer, people want to help out, people want to fund, people want to maybe generously donate. I'm assuming you have a regular donation project on the go, where people can, donate here, donate there, and you're a charity, so I'm assuming you're giving receipts and all those kind of things. So let's talk about some money that maybe we can attract some money for you for the pets.
Yeah, so right now we have our campaign Under One Roof until mid-November, and this is mostly to replenish our emergency funds for big surgeries. Like I said, we get animals that were hit on the road, for example, and nobody's claiming them. It comes upon us now to find a solution for that animal. So rushing them to the vet is not free. So we want to always be available to have the option to take care of those animals. And obviously that comes at a price. So we always try to fundraise to have enough money in our bank so we can take those animals and do what's right for them. Another thing we offer, which we don't talk about it too much because nobody likes to talk about that, but some people love their pets, but just don't have the means for a good end of life for their pet who, he's 16, 18 years old and in really bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
And can't afford to go to a vet to unfortunately euthanize their animal. And a lot of time we don't charge for this service for people who just don't have the means, and that has to be paid by somebody. So we do fundraise sometimes also to have some money aside so we can actually offer this service, so that not only the owner doesn't have to suffer watching their animal suffer, but also the animal doesn't have to have a traumatic end to their life, and they can have a peaceful passing with the owners, knowing that they've done the right thing. We always feel so bad for people who just mean to do what's right by their animal and just can't afford it. And we all know how hard things can get. I mean, a lot of us, are struggling out there because we run out of money, but we still have big hearts and we want to help. And so we're, again, the end of the road for some of these animals. And I really care about this aspect of the organization, is when you have no other options, like we'll be there to help you to do the right thing. And just, I don't want to see any animal or person suffer if it's not necessary.
Yeah, true. So growing up, I grew up in a small town, Dresden, lived on the main street. So there was always, often you would find, unfortunately, usually a cat, dead on the side of the road, hit by a car, like just you'd hear a thump and maybe brakes, or we would have to actually take that cat off the road and bury it in our backyard, in a shoebox, which, I'm sure that someday, someone dug up that shoebox and know what the hell was going on here. But are people still doing that? Do you still have backyard burials or pet cemeteries or stuff like that?
Well, I'm sure people do bury their animals in the backyard. Ideally, they should be cremated. That's something we also offer here. Like not everybody wants to have a pet cemetery in their backyard. So cremation is always a better option for most animals, in my opinion.
Yeah, true. I was always concerned that we go bury another cat and find the third cat before that. So students that are looking for hours, because we have that program here in our neck of the woods, volunteer hours would be helpful for you and for them. And you could be as happy as Ken here. Look at him. He's so happy. So talk about any student volunteers. I'm assuming you take them on. There's a certain age you have to be, because you're handling pets, right? That could bite. I mean, God forbid you could get nipped or something like that. So tell us a bit about students and volunteering for you guys.
Yeah, so I actually have students right now that are volunteering. We can only take so many at a time, obviously, because there's only so much work to go around. But we do have actually a waiting list for students that want to complete their 40 hours of volunteering. We also take co-op students when we have a spot available. Again, this is taken right now, so there's a waiting list. But we're pretty flexible. And if people really show an interest to work, petting the animals is great, but there's also a lot of work to be done. So if they show an interest, we're more than happy to take them on and show them the rope. And, maybe they'll come back one day wanting to be part of the shelter world, which would be amazing. There is lots of shelters hiring all over Ontario that I know of that would love people that are not only dedicated, love animals, but also are hard workers.
Absolutely. So, head over to the website. It's right there, and see what opportunities there are, for you to help or get involved or give of your time or your talent, which is a value in itself. And you can help out, and I think it's something that compassion can be taught. Pet compassion can be taught at a young age. High school or even as an older adult, maybe. So do you guys do that program where you take the pets into the senior centers or the retirement centers for them to visit?
Yeah, we've done that several times. We also take pets to schools. We haven't done it in the last few years thanks to COVID, but we've done that many times. And sadly for you, we do usually bring a snake because our mascot is a snake. But we'll bring dogs and cats, and I usually bring my dogs because they're very social. But I'll tell you, 99% of the kids are extremely compassionate, extremely interested in animals. And I think we lose that as adults sometimes because we either don't get exposed or we don't feed that compassion.
Mm-hmm.
But animals can teach us an awful lot.
Yeah, they can sense an awful lot too. Maybe not the snakes, but the other ones can for sure.
Snakes too.
Yeah, I saw a lot. We were just recently away, and it seemed to be the tourist thing is to at nighttime to people were on the Bourbon Street with large, very large, alarmingly large snakes around the neck for tourists to take pictures with. Spoiler alert, I didn't do it because I don't like snakes. So
sometimes you just got to push your limits, and
nope.
sometimes the more you know about snakes, the more you like them.
I'll take your word for it. All right, hang on, and I'll come get you in a second. Folks, thank you very much for coming to engagement again this week, shining the good light on what is good in our neck of the woods. And I'm sure that whatever we have in our neck of the woods, you probably have in your neck of the woods. So go out, see some good, be some good, and help out. Thanks for coming to engagement.